Is a custom African safari on your vacation to-do list? If so, stay tuned. My special guest today is Beth Schulberg, owner of Cruise and Travel Specialists based in Portland, Oregon. Beth and her team of expert travel advisors have been serving the needs of her clients in and around Oregon and across the country since 2002. Hi, Beth. Welcome back to RTE Travel Talk.
Thank you, Ken. Good to be here.
Great to have you back with us. So, Beth, one of the things that's a bucket list item for a lot of our viewers and listeners is an African safari. Now, this month, we're kind of looking at several different options for African safaris. And I know that you've just recently planned one. So you've done a bunch of research, followed up with a lot of suppliers and vendors. So I was hoping that we could spend a little time today talking about your experience. And if you've got some tips that we can pass along to our viewers and listeners, that'd be tremendous. How's that sound?
Absolutely. That sounds great. The way that this got started is so many of my clients, when I escort groups, have said, do a safari. We want to go on a safari. We want to go with you. So I had no idea just how many people it was on their bucket list. And still, I started putting this together. And in 2 weeks after I spent a couple of months researching it, there's 24 of us going on our safari in September of 2024. So it is a huge bucket list for everybody. You can't do a safari on your own. You do need guidance in this. And I've decided that I am going to be able to help people now that I've done so much research, and pretty soon I will be going on one.
Perfect. So Beth, I have an absolute ton of questions. The first one being is, when is the best time of year to go on an African safari?
Really, any time of the year if you go to the right place. Kruger National Park they have the big five almost any time of the year. And that is when you would fly into, Cape Town, and then you would go to Victoria Falls, and then you can go to the Kruger National Park from there. If you want to go when the migration season happens, and I'm just going to refer to my notes, that is from June to October. And you would go to Kenya, Tanzania, Botswana, or Zimbabwe to see the great migration of the big five.
Right, so there's a lot of choice in countries then.
Yeah, you can go almost any time. I will say that if you decide to go in January or February, you may not see as many animals if you go to those East Africa countries. But it is when they're having babies. And so you will see a lot of babies, and it's a great birding time to go as well.
Okay. Yeah. So what are the best countries or regions of Africa to visit to see the most wildlife?
The most popular are Kenya and Tanzania. And then you've got Botswana and Zimbabwe that people also go to. But I will say this, Ken, from everyone that I have talked to who have been on a safari, they thought it was a trip of a lifetime, but they went back.
Oh, really?
So, yes. So if you go to one area, you will be going back because it's such a phenomenal experience. And again, I have not done it yet. I'm going to do it. But in my research, I have found that people do this multiple times.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought that it would be kind of a one and done, but it's not.
Not for the people that have the money to do it again, because it's not an inexpensive trip.
True. So in looking at the itineraries, Beth, what's the ideal length for an African safari?
Honestly, about 10 to 12 days is a great length. It's interesting when, you have some choices. You can go on some companies, they will do like a 4-day cruise on the Chobe River. When I was looking at the different safaris, I decided to do the pure safari. I didn't really care if I went into Cape Town. I didn't care if I go into Johannesburg. I don't care about the big cities. I wanted to do the safari. And so what we are doing, and we decided to do it when the great migration happens, and that is in one of the months or September. And I wanted to keep the price point for my group at a point that wouldn't shock people. So we're doing it for 9 nights, and it's a great itinerary. We're going to add on pre and post if we want to. If some people want to go to Victoria Falls, which I do, we will go there. And then afterward, we might even go to the Seychelles. We don't know where we're going on that, but there are a lot of different options. But we're starting with a 9-night core
Right.
safari.
So, on your traditional safari, what does your normal day look like, Beth?
Well, what the normal day looks like is you're going to be woken up before the sun rises because that's when there's a lot of activity. The places that we stay, they're all 5-star. They're going to wake you up with coffee and danishes. You're going to get in the 6 to 8 passenger safari vehicles, and you're going to go out for about 4 hours and view the animals. You're going to come back. It'll be breakfast time. You'll have breakfast. You'll enjoy the beautiful either tent camp, which they're not tent camp, I use loosely, or the hotels that we are staying in. You're going to enjoy those. And then after lunch, you're going to go out again and for about 4 hours. And then you'll come back and have dinner. And sometimes we will be going out at night for the viewing of the animals at night. With that said, the camps that we are staying in, they don't have fences up. And so there will be animals that come up because they do have water around the places that we're staying. So the animals will be coming right to where we are without fences. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Wow. Wow. Now, I've seen some of the pictures of the accommodations that you've got on this particular safari, and they're not your average tent.
Well, for me and my group of passengers, we want a 5-star
Right.
experience. And so, yes, you're right. We are staying in some luxury hotels, and we're also staying in luxury tents. And that word I'm using loosely because it's a canvas over a structure with a raised floor, hardwood floors, and everybody has their own bathroom with a toilet and a shower.
Oh,
So it's going to be beautiful.
excellent, excellent. So, Beth, what kind of food can we expect on a safari like this? Is it just K rations, or what can we expect?
Well, I think what we're expecting is 5-star cuisine because we are paying for a 5-star
Right.
experience. And from my research, I understand that they have fabulous food the entire time.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Now, you mentioned Jeeps and traveling in an open car. Do you spend any time on foot?
Interestingly enough, yes, they do have what they call safari
Right.
walks. I'm not sure I'm going to go on one until I feel comfortable with what we're doing, but that is going to be an option for
Oh,
us.
perfect. Now, when you're comparing, like the tour that you put together is obviously 5-star. If we were to compare doing this on, we'll say, more of an economy scale, like traveling in between, like you start out in one country and then you travel to another country. Traveling in between them, I've seen in doing some of my own research, like there's some that you travel by bus or by car to your next accommodation, and there's other places where you actually have intercountry flights. Now,
Correct.
what do you like with your particular tour that you put together? Are folks going to be getting on a bus to go to the next accommodation, or are we flying?
We are flying because we paid to
Right.
fly. That's part of the cost. But I want you to know that our office just booked a safari for a family of
Right.
5 with another company that isn't 5-star. It's 4-star. It's wonderful. The family of 5 chose not to do the intercountry flights. They're going to be on a bus for 6 hours at a time. And the father said he wanted his kids, he's taking his 3
Right.
kids. He wanted his kids to experience everything there was on the
Right.
ground. And honestly, their trip, they were going from New York, and for a family of 5 for a week, it was half the price of what we're paying for ours. So there are reasonable prices that you can pay if you don't care about that 5-star
Right. So there's a
experience.
wide range when it comes to an African
A
safari.
wide range.
Yeah.
Yes, a wide range of what you can choose from.
Right.
Yes.
And one of the things it really comes down to, like, you can spend 6 hours on a bus traveling to the next destination, or you can spend 20 minutes in a plane to get to your next destination.
Right.
And that's part of
Yeah.
the difference. Now, in terms of the game drives and the other activities, from what I understand from talking to you, this is a pretty small group of people. My question would be, depending on which type of tour you took, are you going to be traveling with a bunch of strangers all the time, or is it mostly people you know? How do you think that
Well,
works?
I've got 24 in
Right.
my group, so no one's going to be in our group with the exception of us. But if you do go and you're, one couple or 2 couples or 3 couples, of course you're going to be in the safari
Right.
vehicles with other people. But isn't that the fun of it? I mean, the vehicles hold 6 to 8
Right.
people. I limited my group to an even number that would hold 6 or 8. I didn't want I didn't want 26 to go because that means somebody would be riding in another vehicle, and that somebody would probably be my husband and me. And so I'm like, no, I'm stopping at 24. And honestly, if you look at these luxury tours, they will stop. They will have a group of 16 going out. The only reason why I feel comfortable taking 24 is because I know everybody going with
Right.
us. And so I know that there will be no problems with the people that are going. And I don't want to say handle them, but I will. I can handle them. Yes.
You mentioned that there's no fences in the some of the camps that you will be going to. What about the risks? Are they safe?
You know, I did ask that question, and the company that I've gone for, it's called Alexander and Roberts. That's who we're booking with. They have not had any problems in the years that they've been doing it, so I think it's pretty safe. It's safer than walking across your street or driving a car. So we all take a risk in everything that we do, but I'm not worried about the risk. One interesting thing that I found is when I asked the person who put this together, Chip from Alexander and Roberts, he told me that this is a really great trip for people who are older because you're not walking a lot. You're walking from your hotel room or your tent camp to the Jeep that you're going in and back. It is not a lot of walking. So for someone who has difficulties with that, no problem. They can go. It's a great experience for them.
That's a really good point that you bring up. Some probably have the idea out there, well, you know what, I'm too old to do this.
Right.
But I can see from looking at the accommodations and the tours that you've got that that's no problem for somebody in their 70s, and probably even if you're an active octogenarian.
80s is the new 50s. That's no problem at all. As we get closer to that age,
I'll remember that.
I'll be saying 100s are the new 60s, I'm sure.
I'll remember that.
I do have a couple going with me, and they wrote and they said, unless we can bring our CPAP machines, we can't go. And guess what? They can bring them.
Great. The guides, they're obviously well trained and experienced. Do they speak English?
Oh, yeah. Of course. They would have to speak English, and they're native, they're right. Local. And they do take a gun with them. I will tell you, they have a gun with them whenever you're out on a safari, because if something happens and you need help, that gun is your best friend. So they do have guns with them just in case the animals charge at you.
Well, they are wild animals.
They are, and we're in their world.
So if we're getting ready to go on a tour like this, Beth, what kind of precautions should one take, in terms of what vaccinations do I need?
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
They're recommending the yellow fever vaccination. I've had one when I went to Cambodia, so I think I'm good. And they also recommend bringing with you malaria pills. Not that people have gotten malaria that they know of, but it's better to be safe than sorry. So right now, that is the only thing that I know of that we have to do. But when I return, I will do another one of these YouTube videos if I'm invited back, and I'll be able to tell you a lot more.
I'm sure you and I will have lots to talk about on your return.
Yeah.
I've also heard that it's not a good idea to wear dark colored clothing, as it kind of attracts mosquitoes.
That's a great question. One of the things that I was told that you need 4 sets of clothing. That's it. You can wash your clothes there. 4 sets of clothing. And it's mostly khakis and light shirts. Right. They want you to not wear dark clothes. You can't bring a lot of luggage because you're going to be on these small airplanes. Yeah. I'm going to go out and buy 4 really expensive sets of clothes that I can bring since I can only bring 4 sets.
And traveling light is the key word here because of the luggage requirements on these smaller aircraft for the intercountry flights.
Yes.
So do you have any special activities planned in addition to the game drives?
We do have the option for people to go up and see the gorillas. Okay. And I understand that is a pretty grueling trek. You have to be in good shape. Yep. And it is quite costly. But I do want to go see the falls, Victoria Falls. And I'm going to spend 3 or 4 nights in Zanzibar and maybe even the Seychelles because it's on the way home. I haven't decided yet.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about you. I'm not afraid of heights, but I understand there may be a hot air balloon excursion on the tour?
Yes, that is an option for us. I will definitely do it. I did it in Egypt for the first time in December. I looked at the guy who was driving their 20-passenger hot air balloon, and I asked him, I said, will my hat blow off? And he looked at me like, this lady's weird. And then when it was over, I said, oh, I get it. If my hat would blow off, we wouldn't be going up because it would have been too windy. So it was the most phenomenal experience. That is it. I was scared thinking about going, and the second we took off, it was
Oh, wow.
perfect.
Wow. So this is a custom program that you had put together for your group with Alexander and
Yes,
Roberts as the main supplier. How
correct.
does that compare, Beth, to a non-custom, maybe guided safari? Like, let's get down to brass tacks here. What kind of dollars are we looking at?
Yeah, I wanted to keep our trip under
Right.
$12,000. And so that's why we're going for nine
Right.
nights. I wanted people to go with me. I didn't really realize how much people wanted to go. I sold out in two
Wow.
weeks. So that tells you. And then I had people going, "Oh, I was going to call you. I wish I'd known that it was so
Yeah.
popular." So it was so popular. And then if you look at it, I did look at some other of the travel companies that are offering this. If you go, they're going to limit the group to
Right.
16 people, most likely, and you are going to pay more because, again, I can distribute it between 24 people. So you will pay more. It's about I'm not going to name names, but I looked at one other very popular company, and they wanted, for what I wanted to do, about $2,000 more a person. Same basic trip. They just have a well known
Right.
name and they can charge
Right.
that. I'm a member of this Signature Travel Network, and Alexander and Roberts is a preferred travel partner of ours. So I feel very confident in using their services based on the reviews that my colleagues have given
Okay.
me.
So $12,000 per person. So a couple goes
Yes.
for around 24,000. And you
Yes.
mentioned that earlier you had a younger group and a family going out in New York for how many
Right.
people and roughly half the what was the price?
Five
Right.
people for 1 week. They're going over Thanksgiving.
For 5
22,000 for
people.
5 people, and that is with
Yeah.
flights, economy flights from New York. So we can work with you within your
Yeah.
budget to get you what you want to do. There are so many
Yeah.
options.
And that's key. When you're planning
Right.
something like an African safari, you really need to have the services of an expert travel advisor in your corner, like yourself or one of your team, that has access to all of these travel partners that are going to fit into your particular client's budget, right?
And that have been vetted. I
Exactly.
mean, the travel consortium that I'm in, they have vetted
Yeah.
these people. If there is a problem, I make one phone call or one email, and I don't have a
Yeah.
problem anymore because I'm one of 2,000 people that are booking this, and
Yeah.
they don't want to lose that. So yeah, we have a really good relationship with all of our travel
and
suppliers.
and and that's key too, because if for the layperson, if you're going to try to do this yourself, you don't really know the like you can find all kinds of pretty looking websites online and people that are selling the product that are based out of Africa, and chances are that those are probably wonderful people, but you don't have anybody that you can turn to if things go wrong.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. My saying is, you don't know what you don't know, and so make sure you book this bucket list
Yeah.
trip that you'll be going again, so it won't even be a bucket list trip. But make sure that you go through someone who has great
Yeah.
partnerships that can help
Right
you.
on. So in terms of people that are looking to do this type of trip, Beth, is there any particular demographic? Like who do you think who mostly goes on an African safari?
Gosh, I think, as I just told you, we have a family of five going out, so I think it's open for
Yeah.
anybody. Anybody that wants to go, we can look at your budget and we can find something for you to
Right.
do.
Right. So it's actually not something that depending where you are in your stage of life. If you got kids, it's a great thing for kids as well because it's wonderfully
Absolutely. Yes.
educational. And if
Right.
you're kind of retired and it becomes on the bucket list, it works both ways.
Well, if you're retired, if you're not
Yeah.
retired, you can be gone for, you probably need 3 weeks
Yeah.
for this. We'll be gone about
Yeah.
3 weeks. I have a feeling
Yeah.
when all is said and done. 9 days, couple days
Yeah.
before it takes you time to get there, a couple days after. It's a good
Yeah.
3 week trip. So hopefully, people who are working can take those three
Yeah.
weeks off. And since COVID, people are traveling like
Yeah, exactly.
crazy.
So next big question though is how far out should one be planning this if you're thinking about doing it?
If you're just like two people or a family of five, we can put something together pretty quickly for
Right.
you. If you're going in a group, like I needed 18
Okay.
months because I took the whole camps over. So it just depends on what you're doing. But again, if it's 2 to 4 people, we can definitely find something for you.
So yeah, okay. So if it's just a family, the time frame isn't as long, other than making sure that you find the right product that fits the family. Yeah.
Right. And when you do this, when you go, you're not going by yourself. You're going with a guaranteed departure group. There will be a group of people with you the entire time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all packaged together.
Right. Yes, that's how they can do that's how they can get that cost
Yeah.
down so much.
Wow. Safaris, they really sound like the trip of a lifetime. So do you have any other advice before we wrap up for folks that may be considering this?
No, just give me a call. I answer my phone or I email immediately. So happy to help anybody.
Sounds great. Wonderful, Beth. So if folks want to actually reach out to you, what's the best way to do that?
You can email me at Beth, BETH, at cruzholidays.com. Take a look at my website. It's CRUZTRAV, Cruise Trav. I have lots of videos on there that you can get acquainted with me by looking at that. Or you can call me at 503-641-5225.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I always have to ask. I know you're off to Africa in 2024, but what's next on the list for you and Pete?
A lot, of course. Yes, we've got 40 people going with us on a golf cruise on Azamara Cruises in July, and we are going to the Open, also known as the British Open, in Liverpool, England. And then I chartered a 38-passenger yacht in Croatia, and I've got 38 of my really good friends going with me on that in September. So we have a lot going on.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, that's really interesting, because a lot of folks are interested in combining their favorite pastime, one of which is golf, with their favorite cruise. So we'll have to have you back to regale us with the adventures.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Sounds great. All right. Well, thank you so much. I always enjoy being on your show.
Well, with that, Beth, I'm just going to wish you safe and happy travels on all your future adventures and cruises. May the wind always be at your back, and I hope to see you on a Lido deck sometime soon.
I hope so too.
And that about wraps it up for today, folks. A very special thanks to my guest, Beth Schulberg of Cruise and Travel Specialists. If you'd like to reach Beth about a custom African safari, I will leave her contact information in the description. If you'd like to reach us, simply send a question to questions@realtravelexperts.com, visit our website, realtravelexperts.com, or leave a comment. We always respond. And as always, folks, if you enjoyed this content, a like, subscribe, and a ring of the bell is certainly appreciated and helps us to spread the word. So until next time, happy travels.